We're in syndication at Big Sky, and the Guillotines are in peril at home. It's week 10. Let's talk ball. I am Sean McCauley. This is week 10 of the All-Star Baseball Classic. Let's just get straight into it this week. It was a pretty big week. We'll go to Monday's game. Renaissance runners at the Guillotines at peril point. The Guillotines looking to get back to winning ways at home against the runners, but the runners coming off a big scoring loss should have been feeling a bit of confidence here. Fawkes, starting strong, looks to be back to his normal self. It's no wonder he's in the top 5 pitchers in the league. Even when he loses a game, he doesn't look terrible, except for that game against the Syndicate, which I'm sure he'd rather us all forget. The runner's taken a little bit longer to settle into this one, certainly not giving anything up early, but on offense, they really struggled in the first 3 innings to overcome the discipline of the Guillotines' defense. Garibaldi getting the first RBI of the game for the Guillotines. A great ball deep to left center field, gets himself onto second base without any concerns at all. Moving on to the 4th inning, a few mistakes from the runners showing a few cracks in their defense. They don't lose anything because of it, but it starts to show there's a little bit of pressure getting to them. Not being able to handle the ball at second is going to give the Guillotines many more options the runners just don't need to give them. But with Marat and Robespierre having a tough go out there, it gave the runners nothing to worry about. The 5th inning came and went with only second base stolen by Danton. Ike plays the 6th for the runners with DeBondone over 70 pitches. He handles his batters with ease. The Guillotines' offense was struggling to deal with the runners' bullpen, and we go up to the 7th. A mistake from the Guillotines' outfield sets up another RBI for the runners to tie up the game here. There was a slight shift in these teams at this point. It just looked as if the runners had a little bit more confidence to attack, maybe a little bit more faith in Ike, allowing them the room to play on offense. But it's Duro who makes the difference for the runners in this one with a home run in the top of the 9th to take the lead. It's a perfect ball up the right field line and over the fence for 387 feet. The shorter outfield at peril point just really didn't help the Guillotines in this game at all. With Ike playing a very good relief game, there was so little the Guillotines could do, and a perfect double play from Urbino at second ends the game. The runners getting a much-deserved win away from home here, but, Fawkes still the MVP in this game, still topping the leaderboards, even on a loss. That's why he's so highly valued. This is a huge win for the runners. Ending this one 2-1, that's going to help them out on the leaderboards. We'll have a look at that in a little bit. Let's move on to Tuesday's game. We've got Reds at the Nordics, at the Corral. Karl Marx supposedly back to full fitness. I've been told he's playing well on the practice field. He's excited for a road game here at the Corral. Some fighting words coming out of the Reds all week in the lead up to this match. But their season, it's been a little up and down with injuries and a little bit of lack of cohesion on the field. Their bullpens have been looking a little bit better of late, so we'll see if some of their bigger players like Mao can put up some much needed points against another big hitting team here in the Nordics. Fairhair off to a tough start, loading the bases with 1 out in the first, gets Lennon out, but did not make it look easy. Then Il-sung continues his run of bad form, lets Fairhair save this inning. Il-sung as the designated hitter just has been really disappointing this year. Mark's definitely looking better in his first few pitches. I still don't understand him coming in last week to relieve King, especially when they've got Tito in the pen to cover, but he's not seen many innings this season so far, so maybe he's just not quite at the level they need. But you know what? Marks does look back to his usual self, and he's causing all sorts of problems for the Nordics in this game. There's no doubt that Min's big arm out in centre field saves him a few times this season, and it saves him a few times today as well, but unfortunately, it's not quite enough to prevent a run coming in for the Nordics. The Reds really let that first inning get away from them, and Il-sung, like I said, just not having a good season. He's letting them down here. The Reds are relying on Starlin to tie it up in the second with a home run over the left wall for 447. Stalin's someone who's really coming along nicely this year. He's a solid mid-table batter who, against the right teams, he can make some really big plays, but he offers plenty of value behind the plate too. Like, he's a player that you can really, really trust on this Reds team, and I think the further we get into this season, he's going to become more and more important to their offense and to their defense. The game settles down a little bit into a bit of a defensive battle after that crazy first inning. Tryggvason comes in for Fairhair in the fourth inning, then gives up a double to Guevara. Then what was sure to be a home run, Normandy making an unbelievable jump on centre fence to make the second out, and Guevara cannot get back in time. That's a big save for Tryggvason in the fourth there, and the Nordics managed to stay in this one. We go up to the fifth inning, the Nordics start playing very aggressive baseball, and it starts paying off for them. We've seen them do this before and it not work for them, but against the Reds, they managed to put in 2 runs in the fifth. But Trotsky dings one off the foul post in the seventh for a home run to end Tryggvason's day, and Skala Grimson comes to the mound, hands another homer to Lenin in similar fashion, gives the Reds the lead 4-3. They're just throwing it away at this point in the game. We see Eric's daughter coming in, playing 2 innings for the Nordics to finish it out. She really struggled to get going in the 8th, but doesn't give up any runs. King plays the bottom of the 8th for the Reds, and the Nordics just start swinging at every single pitch. A little bit of desperation showing for them, which doesn't pay off at all. Bit of a shame, really, you make that decision late on, because Eric's daughter's playing pretty well, struggled to get going, but I liked what she was doing in the 9th, and it felt like they kind of just threw it away on offense, and they'd already given up. And we know that King is not the strongest reliever, which is probably why they were going for it, but it's the wrong play in my opinion. The Reds close this one out 4-3. The Nordics just not having that longevity to seal it up here, and that very strong start for them just fell apart toward the end. They need to work on their composure going forward, or they're going to slide down the rankings really, really quickly. Let's move on to Wednesday's game here, then. Crushers at Flushers. We go to Stade Royal. A really important game for both of these teams. The Crushers will be looking to extend their lead from the Commanders, and the Flushers are looking to get back into the top 4. So both teams desperate for a win here. The Crushers have been really, really good this year, providing their stars are turning up. They should be a really big threat here on the road. Bonaparte, he's been a little inconsistent. He came out the gate super, super strong at the start of the season. Week 1, he looked like he was going to top the leaderboards all year. It's kind of fallen off a little bit for him. He's been pretty inconsistent. But the bullpen is great for this Flushers team, and they've got some batting power of their own. Catherine Habsburg, she's got a 703 OES so far this season. I think she's actually ranked 2nd at the end of this week in terms of batting numbers. But it's Ponce who opens up the scoring with a 2-run homer. He's been pretty quiet this season, but you know what? He's consistently putting up numbers, and he's climbing those leaderboards. He's proving that he's actually worth maybe a little bit more than what people thought he was. He's kind of a quiet player, but he doesn't play like a star, but he's a really good, strong team player who makes the plays when it really matters. The Crushers end the second up 3-0, and Bonaparte is getting a talking to in the dugout. Really not what you want to see if you're a Flushers fan right now. It felt as if the Flushers offense got a little bit of mojo in the 3rd inning, but they didn't score. A couple of good hits, a stolen base, getting a little bit of momentum together. That all ends at the start of the 4th when Vespucci hits a home run. The Flushers really struggling on defense in this game, and it doesn't help that Polo was having one of his better games too. He's another pitcher struggling to stay consistent, but somehow he's pulling out the wins. I think when you look at this Crushers team, it's all about the offense. They're surviving on defense, but on offense, they've got the star power that they need, and that is what makes the difference. Charlemagne plays the 7th for the Flushers and looks a little bit more settled, playing good ball for the Flushers this season. In the 8th, Polo, maybe kept in a little bit too long, starts to slip. The Flushers start getting a few opportunities, starts looking like the Flushers might be able to get something out of this game. It's Elizabeth Tudor who makes the most of it with a 3-run home run that just kind of floats over center with ease. Well, Vespucci comes in the next inning, gets a 2-run homer to take the lead back to 6-3, and that ends Charlemagne's day. Teresa comes in to close this one out for the Flushers, and things just keep on getting worse for them. They head to the bottom of the ninth, needing 4 runs to tie it up. Hudson comes in for the half inning to stop that happening, and he does it pretty successfully. The Crushers, they're just too much for the Royals in this game. In the end, a fairly easy win for the Crushers, ends 7-3. Let's go to Founders Field now. Warlords at Commanders. Thursday night game at Founders Field. They meet the Commanders for the first time this season. This is 2 top pitchers playing against each other here in Juan and George. But the Commanders overall, I think, have a better team. And they've shown all year long that they are the team to beat. But the Warlords have some real power in their lineup. So this on paper is a really tight game. And it's a tense start for both sides, both teams being very patient at the plate, not wanting to waste their at-bats. Pretty good strategy. No one wants to make a mistake early, give up the lead. The Commanders losing to the Vanguards last week probably reminded them that this league doesn't belong to them. And with the Crushers already having a win on the board this week, it was pretty imperative that the Commanders don't give anything silly away. But it's the Commanders who break the stalemate in the third, getting a runner home on an outfield single. The Warlords push back hard in the fourth with 2 singles, but can't make anything of it. The Commanders keep their lead going into the bottom. James Madison gets a home run in the fifth to extend the Commanders' lead, and ends Perron's day, bringing in Videla for his pitching duties. Let's jump ahead to the 8th now. Grant gets his first innings of the day, and after his performance last week, he'll be looking to redeem himself. He had a pretty poor showing last week. Metaxas also coming in for the Warlords in the bottom. He's not played a ton this year, so nice to see him getting a bit of an opportunity. It's a really big game for him to come into, and honestly, he does fine. There's nothing to really talk about with him. You look at his numbers, yeah, okay, he's not played a ton, but he's just kind of fine. Grant does a much better job this week than he did last week in the 9th, closing out the game for the Commanders. The Warlords just really didn't have a chance today. There was no answer, and the Commanders, kind of an easy win. They don't put much up, but they never do. They win it 2-0, and that's going to keep them in contention, tied for first with the Crushers. Let's go to Syndicate at Socratics. Now, this was a huge game here. The Socratics coming into this game desperately needing a win at home. But the Syndicate have just found some form, and with Franklin starting again, it's a really big ask for the Socratics here. Thales, he's definitely managed to settle into this league. He looked a bit rocky early on, but we're starting to see a team that can play here. And he's pulling this team together, but we could say the same for Franklin and the Syndicate as well. The Syndicate having a better technical play style, so they're definitely going to be trying to take advantage of any mistakes that Socratics have to offer up. And Thales really needed to be on form, and he needs his infield to be awake and paying attention the whole game. Don't get caught napping. Through the first, it's the Socratics who have come to play. 2 nice singles to get the runners on base, followed by a home run in the upper tier from Epicurus to put the Socratics up 3. And things just keep getting worse for Franklin in this one. Walking Zeno sets up another run on an infield single. The double play is not enough to save them here, and the Socratics get 5 runs in the first inning. It's a lot of work to do for the Syndicate offense to bring this game back, and with Zeno in center, it's always going to be tough. Their best option is going to be to send some line drives, grind out some hits, be patient. When you're down 5 runs in the first inning, that is going to throw you off your game. And against a team that's starting to come together, it's going to be tough. But it's exactly the strategy they take. A home run from Newton also helps them out. It's a 5-4 game going into the bottom of the second. Plato gets a home run in the bottom. We're in for a high-scoring game here. Kepler comes in for Franklin now as she just can't seem to get a handle on these batters. On offense, they're playing great. On defense, they're struggling. I think it's the right strategy. Kepler immediately gets this game back under control for the Syndicate. A really, really good play, seeing the error early on, getting themselves back into it. Throughout the game plan, start putting some pressure on. Because they're probably expecting, if you're starting Franklin, you're not bringing Kepler in. They change the game plan, and the Syndicate, they start making some really good plays. This is the Syndicate style we've seen in the last couple of weeks. Ada gets a 3-run home run in the 4th, followed by Curry getting another to make the lead 8-6. That ends Thales' day and brings in Empedocles. The Socratics getting on base. They can't convert that into runs though, and the Syndicate have just been much more effective at doing that in this game. Through the fifth, Empedocles gets in his stride a little bit more. A couple of quick innings helps the Socratics out a lot, but the Syndicate get another home run, extending their lead a little bit more. And you know what? The rot just keeps on coming in the sixth. It's a 10-6 lead at the end of the sixth inning for the Syndicate. Plato and Epicurus both having phenomenal games out there. A couple of fan favourites showing up and keeping the Socratics in the game. These two manage a double steal in the sixth, and Plato gets on home from a single from Seneca. But the Socratics not out of it just yet. Faraday replaces Kepler to keep the Syndicate fresh, but he allows Diogenes' first hit of the game in 4 at-bats. It's just not looking good. I'm looking at the Syndicate. I'm thinking, you were in this game, you were back, and it's falling apart again. What's going on? This game's starting to swing back toward the Socratics again. The Syndicate going deeper into their bullpen, and you can feel the crowd shift. The pressure really starting to mount on the Syndicate. But they prove that they are actually just a bit too good at the moment. They push through, and their lead goes back up to 14-8. Even a home run from Seneca in the 8th isn't enough for the Socratics to claw it back in. Sagan comes in for Faraday in the 8th. Einstein ends this one by getting a 3-run homer in the 9th. He's the only player on the Syndicate team where I feel like you can guarantee a strikeout. But he launches one over left center wall, and that really shows where the Socratics are at right now. They're a team showing a little bit of promise, occasionally playing some exceptional baseball, but they can't sustain it for 9 innings. And when you're relying on 2 or 3 players in your team to get the results and make the defensive plays, they've still got a lot of work to do and a long way to go. The Syndicate win this one 18-10. That was a huge game. If you didn't watch it this week, even though you know the score, go and watch that one. Absolutely worth it. All right, last game of the week then. Vanguards at Gladiators. We're at Castillo Arena. The Vanguards hoping for another big performance here after that win against the Commanders last week. They've really struggled to get any momentum going this year, but it's a real opportunity against the Gladiators. Tiberius, he's been in really good form lately, and he will definitely make it difficult for the Vanguards offense. The Gladiators outfield, also a very experienced group who can place themselves well. The Vanguards will want to find the gaps and go for more singles in this one if they want to win it. But it's the Gladiators who score first by doing exactly what they do best. A contentious fair ball up the right foul line that catches Chavez unaware, allows a runner to get home. Both teams letting up a few hits early, and the Gladiators score again in the second. But nothing can stop King getting a 2-run homer in the third to tie it up. Caesar making a big jump, but honestly, he's nowhere near it. Totally lost sight of it in the air. We've come to expect a little bit better from him, so he'll really be feeling that one. Jumping ahead to the 5th now, and King's up to bat again, but Tiberius handles him perfectly. It's a quick strikeout, and he's not hiding how pleased he was with that one. Really redeeming his mistake from earlier in the game. Through the 6th, we're at a deadlock. Neither team playing particularly good ball at this point, and neither team able to take advantage either. We see Aurelian pitching in the 7th for the Gladiators, bringing a fresh arm to the mound, but it's in the bottom of the 7th where the Gladiators break that deadlock with a home run over right. Anthony's day comes to an end after giving up another walk, and Truth comes in, hoping to have a slightly better game than she's had basically all season. She comes out fairly promising, gets the Vanguards out of the 7th, but in the end, it's just not quite good enough. While they don't concede again, they also can't make anything of their offensive chances. The Gladiators close this one out 3-2 in a pretty tight game where both teams just seemed a little bit hesitant to take any risks, and I think that plays into the Gladiators' hands here. All right, that's all the games. Let's have a look at the leaderboard. Compass Crushers on top. On 8-2, Commanders 8-2, Red Scares 6-4, Imperial Gladiators in 4th 6-4, Renaissance Runners 5-5, Iron Warlords also 5-5, Royal Flushers also 5-5, that's 5, 6, and 7, Sparks Syndicate in 8th place 4-6, Vanguards in 9th, Guillotines in 10th, Nordics in 11th on 3-7, and the Slammers propping up the boards on 2-8 down in 12th place. Let's have a look at week 11 predictions. All right then, runners. against the Nordics runners at home in this one. I think the runners have got this. They're just playing really good baseball. They're not scoring tons and tons of runs, but they're managing to not concede. And I actually just like their strategy. I like the way they're playing. They're being a bit more patient. They're just really starting to come into it. And it's not easy. Every week I'm watching them going, it's not easy. Week 9, they lose to the Red Scares by 1 run. This week, they beat the Guillotines, who granted are on a slide, but they beat them by 1 run. They just seem to be in a place where they're getting out of those tight games, and I think the Nordics are going to swing at them pretty hard. They're going to feel bad about that loss last week. I'm going to give it to the runners. Game 2, Guillotines falling apart and struggling. But against the Flushers, also a team that I just think is kind of falling apart a little bit. Both teams not playing very well. I'm going to give it to the Guillotines. They're at home. They're at Peril Point. I give it to them. Guillotines win. Reds and Commanders. Reds are at home. And Commanders will beat them. Unless Zaydon can turn it up. But right now, I just don't think it's enough. They'll lose. The Commanders are too good. Crushers and Socratics, do we even need to talk about it? The Crushers will just destroy them. Warlords will beat the Gladiators at Swagger, absolutely. Perron, way too good, and if they can get going early, that should be an easy game. I don't see the Gladiators being able to do much there. And the Syndicate on an absolute tear right now. I think they're going to melt the Vanguards. They need to go back to Kepler in this game, though. He had a great outing this week. Franklin looked a little all over the place. I'd like to see her coming in to relieve 4th or 5th inning, depending how things are going. But I think you start with Kepler. He looked really good. I think we're going to have another really high-scoring game because the Syndicate can't defend that well. But I do think that they'll beat them. I think it'll be another high-scoring game. Syndicate will win that one. Right, okay. That's the end of Week 10. I'll see you next week for Week 11.